My name is Todd, and together with my wife Chris, we own a small grocery store in Bloomington, Indiana. We opened it about 5 years ago, investing all our savings into the business. At first it was tough, but gradually the business started generating a stable income, and we were even able to hire a few employees. However, lately I began to notice that our profits were decreasing, even though sales volumes remained the same. I decided to conduct a thorough recount and inventory to find out what was going on. And what I discovered shocked me. It turned out that the store was missing alcohol worth over $5,000. I double-checked the numbers several times, but the result was the same. Someone was stealing alcohol from our store right under our noses. I shared my discovery with Chris, expecting her to be as concerned as I was, but to my surprise, she took the news surprisingly calmly. "Todd, maybe it's just a miscalculation," she said. "Let's not panic prematurely." But I was sure it wasn't a mistake. Someone was deliberately stealing alcohol, and I was determined to find that person and make them answer for their actions. I couldn't let some thief ruin our business that we had worked so hard to build. The first thing I decided to do was install a hidden camera in the store's sales area. I hoped that I would be able to catch the thief red-handed and solve this problem once and for all. But to my disappointment, even after several weeks of observation, I still couldn't find anything. The alcohol kept disappearing, and there was nothing suspicious on the camera footage. Then I decided to go even further and secretly installed an additional camera in the warehouse. I figured that if the theft was committed by one of the employees, they must be doing it where there were no prying eyes. It was risky because if someone found out about the hidden camera, I could have had problems with the law. But I was so obsessed with the idea of catching the thief that I was ready to take that risk. Chris didn't seem to share my enthusiasm. Whenever I brought up the subject of the missing alcohol, she would try to change the subject or brush me off, saying that I was being paranoid. Her reaction seemed strange to me, but I chalked it up to stress and fatigue from working at the store. For several days I reviewed the footage from the warehouse camera, but again to no avail. I was beginning to think that installing this camera was a waste of time and money. But what I saw one night made me doubt the reality of what was happening. On the warehouse footage, I saw my own wife, Chris, sneaking in late at night and starting to load bottles of expensive alcohol into a large gym bag. I couldn't believe my eyes. My wife, whom I trusted more than anyone else, turned out to be a thief. But the shock of this discovery was nothing compared to what I saw next. A few minutes after Chris finished stuffing the bag with alcohol, Harry, one of our cashiers, walked into the warehouse. He hugged Chris and started kissing her passionately. I felt like the ground was slipping from under my feet. Not only was my wife stealing from our store, but she was also cheating on me with one of our employees. How could she do this to me after all these years of marriage? I kept watching the footage, unable to look away, as if hoping that it was just some horrible dream. But it was all real. Chris and Harry had sex right there in the warehouse, among the boxes of merchandise. It was so disgusting and humiliating that I started feeling nauseous. I don't remember how I got home that night. My world had collapsed in an instant. The woman I loved more than life itself had betrayed me in the most despicable way, and I had no idea how to deal with it. The next few days passed in a haze. I could barely look at Chris, let alone talk to her. She seemed not to notice anything and acted as if nothing had happened. This only added fuel to the fire of my rage. I knew I couldn't just leave things as they were. Chris had to pay for her betrayal. And then an idea came to my mind. I decided to post the video of her cheating online so that the whole world would know what she was really like. Of course, I understood that it was illegal and could have serious consequences. But at that moment, I didn't care. I wanted Chris to feel the same pain and humiliation that I felt when I found out about her betrayal. I spent several days editing the video, cutting out the most explicit moments. I didn't want to be accused of distributing pornography. When everything was ready, I created a fake account on YouTube and uploaded the video there. All that was left was to wait for the time bomb to go off. I knew that as soon as the video went viral, and I had no doubt that it would, Chris's life would turn into hell. And she deserved it. The video of Chris's infidelity spread across the internet like wildfire. In less than a day, it was viewed by several 100,000 people. Our small town was buzzing with gossip and rumors. Everyone was talking about only one thing: how the wife of respected businessman Todd Jackson was having an affair with a young cashier behind his back. Chris was desperate. She begged me to do something, anything, to stop the spread of the video, but I was adamant. "You only have yourself to blame," I told her. "You should have thought about the consequences when you jumped into bed with Harry." The scandal and public condemnation proved to be too much of a test for our marriage. And what was the point of staying together after everything that had happened? I filed for divorce, and a few months later, Chris and I officially separated. As for Harry, I fired him as soon as the video appeared online. He didn't even try to justify himself or apologize. He just collected his things and left silently, tucking his tail between his legs. My decision to post the video online, of course, had consequences. Some people condemned me for it, calling me vindictive and cruel, but I didn't regret what I had done. Chris had destroyed our marriage and our business with her selfishness and lust. She deserved to be punished. I sold the house that Chris and I had once bought together and moved to the other side of town. Now I live alone and am completely focused on running the store. It's not easy, but I'm managing. After all, it's all I have left after my former life collapsed like a house of cards. Sometimes I think about Chris and what could have been if she hadn't made that terrible mistake. But then I remind myself that you can't turn back the past. You have to move on and not look back. And I believe that someday I will be happy again, despite everything. Did you like this story? Let us know in the comments what you liked. Subscribe to our storytelling podcast. Also, don't forget to like and ring the bell so you don't miss more interesting stories. See you soon.